Subaru didn't have much luck when the original three-row crossover, the Tribeca, was introduced back in 2006. As you guys know, crossovers are an incredibly hot segment here in America, so for the second generation, Subaru went back to the drawing board, took everything they learned about what owners didn't like about the Tribeca, and came out with this all-new 2019 Ascent. And today, I'm just outside of Portland, Oregon, filming this very important three-row crossover. Is it worth a look if you guys need something with a little bit more space than your Outback or Forester? That's what we're here to find out. So as most of you guys know, Subaru tends to be pretty conservative with the exterior design. That's basically the case here with the all-new Ascent. It literally looks like a bloated version of a Subaru Outback, which isn't a bad car. It's a very conservative looking car, and in fact, I actually think it looks quite handsome now that I'm finally seeing it in person out on this beautiful beach. You can see all the traditional Subaru styling elements are here. The signature Hawkeye headlights, which are LED accented. Full LED headlights that are steering adaptive are available if you guys spring for the higher trims. You also have LED fog lights. The same corporate Subaru grille with kind of a piano black finish here. And this is definitely a very attractive Subaru looking like vehicle. I mean, you're definitely gonna look at this and look that it's instantly a Subaru. Now, this particular one is a touring trim. It comes with these 20-inch wheels that are standard. These wheels are optional on the premium, standard on the limited as well, wrapped in 245 series tires. Now, one of the big problems of the Tribeca was the fact that it was too small. Subaru has addressed that issue with this all-new Ascent. Its wheelbase is 113.8 inches long, which is like 5 inches longer than the Tribeca, and its overall length is 196.8 inches long. That is actually a few inches longer than a Highlander and a Pilot, kind of in line with what the Volkswagen Atlas and the Ford Explorer in terms of the actual size. So this has been sized for the American market. It's built in America at their Indiana factory, and I think it's going to do extremely well. Now at the back, I see a lot of design influence here from the Tribeca, the taillights especially. They're LEDs. They remind me a lot of the Tribeca. There's a chrome strip that goes through the entire portion. I'm not entirely sure I love that chrome part. I also don't really like the color of this one, but of course color is all your specific taste. All the Ascents will have the dual exhaust outlet, which also looks nice. And then you have all this cladding right here with the parking sensors, which I'm not entirely sure I like the cladding and maybe overdoing it, especially on the lighter colors. Now, cargo area is also very important, and a powered tailgate is going to be included on most of the higher trims, and Subaru really stressed importance for the cargo area. With all the seats up, you're actually looking at around 17.8 cubic feet of space, which is right in line with the competition, a little bit more. If you fold down these seats, they're pretty easy to fold down. You get around 47.5 cubic feet of space with these seats folded. And if you fold down all the rows, Subaru says you get around 86.5 cubic feet of space. So again, this is right up there with the top of the segment, and it's going to be a very important aspect for a lot of buyers who are looking for a vehicle like this. So when you first approach the Subaru Ascent, you can see I've switched to a black touring model. This particular trim will come standard with the company's smart key access system with push button start. It is not standard on all trims though. You have to go for at least a premium trim and add a convenience package. The limiteds and tourings will have it as standard. Now when you first walk up to the Ascent, you're going to see a little area on the door handle here. This one is chromed out because it's the touring trim. Just touch this little part right here with your with the key fob in your pocket. It'll lock the doors to unlock it. Touch the back of the handle. It has a little sensor and it'll unlock the door. Now, because my tester here is a touring trim, it has the Java brown leather interior, which certainly looks really nice. Subaru has a tendency to put the brown interior only on the touring. This is the only color combination. If you guys don't like brown, you have to step down to a limited trim, which will offer beige or black. But you can see the interior is very familiar. It's a really welcoming, warm environment, and in typical Subaru fashion, it has a really easy step-in height. Now, getting in here, you can see it has that trademark excellent visibility, which is what Subarus, again, are very much known for. Now, shutting the door here, it sounds nice and solid. This rides on the same platform as the Impreza, which is their new global product architecture. Now, once you get inside the vehicle, just keep the key fob in here, put your foot on the brake, push this button here to fire up the engine. And this is an all-new 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It's part of the same engine family that the new WRX has as well. We'll go into the test drive later on. The engine itself is kind of slow to rev initially, but it's a really smooth engine. So that makes a really nice first impression. The rest of this interior here also makes a really nice first impression. Subaru has been really working hard to improve their interior quality, and it pretty much shows. The dashboard here is soft touch materials with that faux stitching here. It's a really nice feeling dash. The graining feels nice and solid. The door panel here is also soft touch, which is nice, carried over from the dash. The Touring gives you this faux wood grain, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, but it does look nice with the two-tone here. There's some more leather stitching on the door panels here. It's nice and soft where your elbows would rest. There's a nice big pocket here for a cell phone. Another storage area right there, which is really nice. The window is one-touch automatic up-down for only the driver and front passenger. I kind of wish Subaru extended it to the rear windows, but they didn't do that. The gauges here, they're also pretty logical, or easy to read. I like the blue needles. There's a small, like 3.5-inch helper screen there, which you can customize by pushing on this little button on the steering wheel here. It'll change from all your different modes and whatnot. Subaru actually has 3 LCDs. There's one there, one up the top there, and then the big 8-inch screen. The steering wheel is also the same steering wheel that we've seen on the Impreza. Lots of buttons on here, so it does take some getting used to. This controls the Subaru EyeSight safety system, which is standard equipment. There's a heated steering wheel on this one because it's also a Touring. The Limiteds also give you that. The steering wheel is also tilt telescoping. Down here, there's a couple more buttons here for the power liftgate, the blind spot monitoring. This adjusts the headlight control, the level, which has the steering adaptive headlights. Now, up here you can see this is the newer Subaru helper screen, which has, a lot of customizable modes. I really like the graphics, actually. This is Subaru's been doing a good job with, updating their infotainment system, and it really shows. That's really nice. When you push this view button here, it shows you a front camera system, a 180-degree front camera. That only comes on the Touring trim. I'm surprised Subaru didn't give us a 360 view. So when you put the vehicle into reverse, you can see here, nice backup camera. It has trajectory. It has rear cross-traffic automatic braking. It has parking sensors in the back. But again, no 360 camera, just a front camera and then a rear camera view. So some competitors offer the 360. Hopefully Subaru will kind of add that at a later date whenever they refresh this car. This is the newer Subaru Starlink 3.1 infotainment system. It's technically updated versus the 3.0 that I've tested in the Impreza. The system itself is nice. It works relatively well. When you go to the home screen here, you can see there's your Subaru Starlink infotainment system. It's got the Subaru apps. It also has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. That is standard across the board. Even if you guys don't go for this top trim, you'll downgrade to a 7-inch screen, which will still give you Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The navigation head unit, this is TomTom. I don't love the graphics, but I will say that it's very easy to use. The response is quick, so this is kind of something that a lot of owners are going to really appreciate, although most of you may just end up using the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto and using whatever navigation app that you've got on your phone. You can see going back to the home screen there. A lot of nice knobs and buttons here for tuning volume, which is good. Big labeled buttons. Down here you can see your climate control settings for your tri-zone automatic climate control. The Touring model also gives you cooled seats. This is a first for Subaru here in America. Before, you couldn't get cooled seats. They're 3-level heated or cooled seats. I'm kind of sad that they only limit it to the Touring model, since some of you probably don't want to go up to that level for, spending that kind of money. Now, down here you can see there's 2 USB ports here. There's an aux port. There's your automatic brake or automatic hold function, and then this is the X mode system for the all-wheel drive system, as you guys know. Think of it as a button you push whenever you guys are stuck. It also includes downhill assist control. Now over here, you can see this controls the CVT transmission. It's a pretty straightforward shifter, which some of you will really appreciate. It has a manual mode with paddles on the wheel. It gives you 8 virtual ratios. I'll show you guys that later on in the test drive. You can see there's also an electronic parking brake right here, which is nice. Cup holders here, a little bit of storage down here. This is also the first Subaru that has a Wi-Fi hotspot. You can get that and it's part of an AT&T plan if you guys want to get the data and whatnot. Again, Subaru is really upping the technology here. That's probably part of the 3.1 upgrade. There's no wireless phone charger in here. That's one thing that they are missing. The armrest here, the center console is nice and padded. It's a pretty big size. You can see here it's really, really deep. No USB or anything in there. Subaru instead puts it over there. which is actually what I prefer. There's some additional storage right here on the right above the glove box where you can put like your phone, wallet. The glove compartment is also a pretty big size. It's lined with felt. I like the seats on the front, in the front as well. They're really supportive. They're really comfortable. The passenger seat here is only a 4-way adjustable versus the 10-way with 2-person memory on the driver. I did find that the passenger seat was angled up a little too high and you can't raise and lower the cushion, so that may be something to consider. Now overall, the interior of the Ascent is definitely roomy. I do notice it's not quite as wide as some of its competitors, which I actually prefer because it leads to a smaller feeling car. But I think most buyers are going to get in this and they're going to be pretty impressed. Subaru has really stepped up the technology and the overall interior quality. So this being a family vehicle, the second row is going to be very important for a lot of buyers, and you can see getting back here, it's a really spacious second row, kind of what you expect in this class. Now this touring model comes standard with the captain's chairs. You guys can also option in a bench, which increases the capacity to 8. It's not available on this touring. The touring also comes with, you know, the brown leather seats, as I mentioned earlier, in the front seats. Now in terms of the features, I like the flat floor here, so you could, you know, easily get, you know, to one side or the other. There's a lot of good features in here. You have 2 USB ports, a standard power outlet. You have your controls here for the heated seats, for the rear seat climate controls. There's 2 vents, and then the touring model as well gives you these manual sunshades, which is also really important. And then in terms of the materials, there's also soft touch plastic with more cup holders. As I said before, Subaru has 19 cup holders in total, which is really going to be great for families. But let's get into the third row, because that's really a critical area, and Subaru wanted the third row to be able to hold actual adults. All right, so for the third row, Subaru makes it pretty easy to get back here. There's a little lever on the side, just kind of slide the seat forward. It's also really easy to move. Now getting back here, you can see there's a fairly good amount of space. So I'm gonna try to easel my way in here, and then we'll put the seat back. Now the seat, as you guys saw, it moves forward and back, and this is with the seat all the way back. So even though this is kind of hitting my knees, there's actually surprisingly good amounts of room. Let me move back over here, show you guys. Now I'm 5'7", so I'm not incredibly tall, but you know, they definitely did size this to be able to carry kind of like average size adults. If you move the seat forward a little bit to give more space, I would be comfortable back here. In terms of the competition, I would say this is better than what Toyota offers in the Highlander and what Mazda has in the CX-9, kind of comparable to the Pilot. Also, I like the fact that Subaru allows for 3 people to sit across here. And because the vehicle is relatively on the wider side, you could theoretically do it as long as the passengers are on the skinnier side. But again, there's more cup holders back here. Subaru can option in 2 more USB ports back here for a total of 8. So, you know, if you needed to actually carry 6, 7 people, the Ascent will definitely do it for you. So under the hood of this all-new model, Subaru actually has an all-new engine. This is the first application of the company's 2.4-liter Boxer Flat 4. It's actually part of the same engine family as the motor in the current WRX. Now, the engine actually produces a little bit more power, 260 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque, a little bit more than the 6-cylinder motor that they have in the Outback. And Subaru really stressed the torque output. Now, it's a modern 4-cylinder. It's got direct injection. It has really good fuel economy as well. It's rated at 20 in the city, 26 on the highway with the 20-inch wheels, or 21, 27 if you guys go for the 18-inch or the smaller 18-inch wheels. It all goes out through like a high-torque linear tronic CVT, and Subaru says this has the ability to tow up to 5,000 pounds. This one, as it sits, weighs around 4,600 pounds. We'll get out on the road and see how it all performs. So usually when I'm out on these media drives, I get partnered up with another journalist, and this time I was lucky enough to be partnered with Alex Dykes from Alex on Autos. You guys have probably seen his channel on YouTube as well. I love all of his content. He goes even more detailed than me at times. So if you guys haven't seen his content, be sure to check it out. But we're just outside of Portland here, actually on the coast of Portland, driving this new Ascent. And I have to say, first setting off in this car, you know, it's a Subaru product, and Subarus all have their own distinctive feel. One thing that they stress is excellent all-around visibility, so you're going to get that. The pillars here, you know, they seem a little bit large when I look at them, but you have this A-pillar window here, so it kind of gives you a nice all-around view. And honestly, when I drive this thing, it kind of just feels like a bigger Forester. The hood kind of reminds me of the Forester, the mirrors remind me of that. And Subaru stressed that they were targeting the CX-9 when it comes to the driving dynamics. They wanted this to be one of the sportier cars to drive, and because of that boxer turbo engine, it's kind of nice and low, the center of gravity is, so you have a really, easy sightline, and the car feels really stable and stiff. And because it's on that new Subaru global product architecture platform, this car definitely feels that way. It's a sportier driving car, and people in the segment don't really care, although I really like the way the CX-9 drives. The one thing about the CX-9, its biggest weakness is the fact that there's just not much interior space, which I really noticed that this one is really spacious feeling on the inside, despite the fact that it's not quite as wide. It's still really nice to drive. One thing that also Subaru made standard on this car is their EyeSight driver assistance tech. You guys heard that beep earlier, that was the lane departure warning. It also has active lane keep assist, it has automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise control with full stop and go capabilities. I mean, that stuff, the fact that it's standard, makes the Ascent a great value in the segment, and really only the Highlander makes that as standard equipment as well, although the Subaru's is a little bit more advanced because the Highlander is kind of an older platform. But this new 2.4 liter turbo, I'm going to come to a stop here, and I just want to put my foot down. There's nobody behind me, and we're going to see how this feels. There's no sport mode, you just kind of floor it. And it's a little laggy at first. Now, Subaru didn't really have too much in terms of 0 to 60 times, but it feels like maybe around low 7-second range, which is quick enough. It's not really about the times in this segment, it's more about the feel, and Subaru's CVT does a really good job of being a great partner for this turbo engine. There is a little bit of lag off the line, typical CVT fashion, but once you get past that, the engine is really smooth, it's linear, it's quiet. It has plenty of pull, honestly. I wouldn't really be complaining too much more. I mean, this segment of vehicle, you're not going to buy to go drag racing. What you want is just responsive, smooth performance, and just an overall good, effortless feeling. And then when it comes to the handling aspect, the steering in this car is electric, obviously. It's pretty light feeling, but it's really decently quick in its precision. So again, this car feels smaller than it actually is, which is good. It's kind of has more of that smaller feel that I would prefer versus something like a Volkswagen Atlas or a Honda Pilot or a Ford Explorer, which tends to feel a little bit more like a minivan. It just feels a lot bigger. But you can see here, going around this corner here, it's not a bad car actually to drive on a curvy back road. And this engine has really good mid-range pull. It's also really responsive. When you put your foot down, the CVT kind of will change the ratio quickly. And you do feel some body lean, but of course it's an SUV. But the 20-inch wheels, I think, are a good size for this vehicle. It just feels relatively fun to drive, and the seats are comfortable. The visibility is good. I mean, this is a really excellent family car, which is exactly what Subaru wanted this to be. I never actually got a chance to drive the old Tribeca, although that vehicle kind of had its quirky looks. It had the horizontal 6 from the Outback, so this definitely probably has a lot more low to mid-range power, which is what you want in this segment. People aren't really pushing the engine to go in these vehicles, but I mean, overall, as a family car, as a daily driver, it's quiet in here as well. The seats are comfortable. Most people are going to get in this. It's going to feel really familiar. So Subaru with the new Ascent, they're going to easily attract buyers looking to upgrade from their Outback and Forester, and then maybe even some Conquest buyers. I find that this vehicle blends a lot of the aspects of the Highlander and Pilot and the Mazda CX-9, and it kind of delivers on something with better value than a lot of those vehicles since it's less expensive. And I think it's going to surprise a lot of people when they first drive this vehicle. So this car also has a manual shift mode where it gives you 8 virtual gears. Let's put it into that and let's see how that feels when you do a full throttle acceleration. So in typical CVT fashion, it doesn't really mimic gears really well. Honestly, I would probably only use it when I was towing maybe, or probably never. It's best to just put the CVT into its regular automatic. I really actually do like this Turbo 4. It compares quite nicely to the engine in the Mazda CX-9. The Mazda's engine has way more torque than this engine, but slightly less horsepower. But the two cars weigh around 4,600 pounds still, so you feel that weight sometimes around the corners, but I don't miss the 6-cylinder at all. I mean, this is kind of going in a, the direction that, people or everyone else in the segment's kind of going with lately. Buyers are not going to miss the 6. It sounds decently refined. Actually, I'd be curious to see what Subaru puts this motor in for their next car. I mean, you guys know the new Forester is not going to have a turbo anymore, which is really sad. I wouldn't be surprised to see this engine end up in the next generation Outback, since that's going to also switch to this platform. I don't know if this could go into the new WRX. I mean, it's a big displacement 2.4. I feel like Subaru would probably keep the WRX a 2-liter, but Subaru says this will tow 5,000 pounds. I'm not really an expert on towing, but it's definitely got enough power to move this vehicle around. When they picked me up at the airport, actually, and when I got here to Portland, I had to ride in this car with like 6 other journalists. It was 7 of us with all of our stuff. Everything fit, and the vehicle didn't feel too taxed. It was just really, really lacking in terms of the cargo space, but kind of everything else in this segment doesn't really do that well when you have that many people and all their stuff. But overall, I'm pretty pleasantly surprised with the way the Ascent drives. This is one of my favorite driving large 3-row crossovers in the segment. So as most of you guys know, Subaru has been doing exceptionally well here in America. Sales have been up every year, and one vehicle that they've been missing is a 3-row crossover. So with the all-new Ascent, they are finally back in this very competitive segment. They tried a few years ago with the Tribeca, and it was just too small for the American market. And as you guys saw, this one has way more interior space. It's comfortable. It seats up to 8 people. It's refined. It's easy to use. It's easy on the eyes. It has the Subaru, brand recognition, and I think it's going to do exceptionally well. Subaru expects to sell about 60,000 of these annually, which I think they're going to hit easily in their first year of sales. So what's it going to cost to put this Ascent in your driveway? Now, first of all, this vehicle goes on sale in June of 2018 with a starting price of $31,995 for a base model. And as you guys know, symmetrical all-wheel drive is standard. It's a little bit more money than some of its competitors, but those vehicles, again, are front-wheel drive, whereas this is all-wheel drive. Now, from there, of course, you can upgrade to the premium, the limited, or the touring trim. Subaru expects people to take mostly the limited trim, which is around $40,000. That gives you most of the features of the touring. This model with the cooled seats, the smart review camera mirror, this one stickers for around $45,670, which is again the most expensive price tag you're ever going to see on a Subaru here in America. But it's right in line with all of its competitors, and actually it's a little bit cheaper than some things like a fully loaded Highlander or a Pilot or a Ford Explorer. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2019 Subaru Ascent. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.